Alright, so this presentation is going to be on sports washing and authoritarian regimes. My name is Brandon Booth. Before we get started, a little bit about me. As I said, my name is Brandon Booth. I am a senior at Bloomsburg University, wrapping up my final semester, and I am a political science major, specifically with a concentration in United States public administration. But with all that being said, without any further ado, let's get into the main topic of this conversation, which is sports washing. So we'll start by just defining what sports washing is. So sports washing is the use of an athletic event by an individual or a government to promote or burnish the individual or group's reputation, especially amid controversy or scandal. To put that very simply, we're going to specifically be talking about governments because we are talking about in authoritarian regimes, but it is using sports to distract from controversy. So primarily governments that are wrapped up in some kind of controversy, usually on their own misdoing or something like that. It is using sports to kind of distract from that and help re-garnish their reputation, but that's something we'll kind of talk about more later. So a couple examples of sports washing and what that actually is would be the 2014 Olympic Winter Games in Russia, which was a large Olympic Winter Games, which was hosted in Russia and used by Russia to kind of distract from some controversies that have been going on, specifically with their authoritarian leader, Vladimir Putin, and some accusations that had been made around him suppressing some of his political opponents and actually murdering some of them. Another example would be the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. This World Cup, which is an international soccer competition, the largest international soccer competition, came amid controversies with Qatar's treatment of migrant workers, treatment of women, and just some of the ways in which their religious fundamentalism had impacted certain demographics in their country. But, it's not just always individual events. Saudi Arabia and the Crown Prince have really used multiple high-level events, including high-level boxing events, WWE events, for example, WrestleMania, which is the largest event in WWE, is going to be hosted there pretty soon. The establishment of Live Golf, or LIV Golf, which is a huge golf league where hundreds of $millions have been poured in to create this huge golf league, and also large soccer events, for example, exclusive deal with one of the largest soccer stars in the world, Cristiano Ronaldo, to play exclusively in Saudi Arabia, with the hopes of distracting from multiple issues that have come from the Saudi Arabian regime, including the alleged killing of a journalist and the suppression of any kind of political dissent, along with the same things in Qatar regarding religious fundamentalism and how that has affected certain marginalized groups in the society. But I put in this last example of the 1936 Winter Olympics to show this isn't just a recent thing. This has been going on for a very long time. At this time, Germany was under the control of the Nazi regime, and it's no secret there was a lot of controversy, a lot of bad things that happened in Nazi Germany, specifically regarding the treatment of Jewish people and other marginalized groups. While the Olympic Winter Games was held as one of the, at the time, best Winter Olympics ever, and this was kind of used by Hitler and the Nazi Party to distract from certain things that had been going on with all of their, horrible things that they had been doing. But I guess this brings me to this final point of, what are the impacts of sports washing? Why are all these people doing it? Well, first of all, it's reputation management. And that largely comes down to distraction, right? When there is this kind of large sports events that go really, really well, specifically focusing on maybe these ideas of the Winter Olympics or the World Cup, people are talking about that. People aren't talking about the terrible things that Putin has done to his own Russian people and to dissent. And at the time, this wasn't as large of an issue, but was still an issue. The people of Ukraine. Instead, they're talking about the FIFA World Cup and about how well that has been going. Also, economic influence, specifically the World Cup and the Olympics, the examples that I primarily touched on, bring in a lot of money, which kind of ties into this tourism point. But it brings in a lot of money, it brings in fans, it brings in TV deals, and it allows businesses there to thrive. So a lot of economic influence comes from this. Also, there is the normalization of controversy. When places like Russia, Qatar, or Saudi Arabia host these large events, they put themselves exactly on the same scale as countries that often don't do things ethically, but maybe will promote themselves in that way or don't have as large of controversies, such as the United States, where in a lot of specifically sports fans' eyes, or people who measure like economic influence and stuff like that, they are just another one of the big players in that field. And then as I talked about tourism, this kind of ties into everything I've talked about, but really the economic influence. A lot of people come to see these events. A lot of dollars come flowing in from tourism. And it also creates this image that this place is safe. For example, Doha, Qatar, where the 2022 World Cup was hosted, has become a very large tourist destination since then, as this made it look safe and legitimate. Thank you. These are my sources. And have a great rest of your day.